So the croupier at the Adelaide Casino in southern Australia rakes the last of my chips away from me, and I have this thought that maybe I'm going about my wild Australian road trip the wrong way. So I have $5 left in my pocket. That's it. And that's a problem, because what the croupier just took from me at the roulette table in one bad bet was my money for my night's lodging. And I'm in Adelaide, Australia, which you might know is famous for its beautiful churches and for its tourism internationally for serial killers. So I don't really want to be out on the street too much, but the bigger problem is that I'm leaving this road trip. I'm leaving Australia in 3 days. My flight takes off, but it does not take off from Adelaide. It takes off from 1,600 kilometers away, northwest in Alice Springs. So I bought myself this departure ticket because I needed to force this epic, incredible ending to this Australian road trip, because I had put so much money and time into this thing, into this hitchhiking, backpacking trip, and what I had wanted it to be was this spiritually awakening, cathartic, beautiful, legendary trip. And up to this point, honestly, what it had turned out to be was kind of me hitting on a lot of girls and standing on top of tall things. That was kind of it. I mean, I was thinking back through what I'd done. You know, I had stood on top of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. I had stood on top of the Blue Mountain Range in Australia, but I hadn't done anything big, any story worth bringing back to my friends and family and telling them how epic this entire journey had been, hitchhiking and backpacking through the country. And it was this thirst for the epic that led me to this epically stupid bet on a roulette wheel, and that also led me to plan my flight from Alice Springs, because here was the goal, the one thing I could do to save my trip. Uluru, Ayers Rock, in the red center of Australia, this beautiful, huge monolith that I could go to and see and experience and climb, and it was without a doubt the most remarkable thing I could possibly stand on top of and feel powerful and legendary. And that was my goal, but I only had $5 left, and the people at the table are starting to eye me. So I get up and I start walking around this casino, and I'm like, I can't really do much with $5, but I can buy a beer. So I go to the bar, and I sit down, and there's one person at the bar. He's seated way down the bar, 6 or 7 stools, and he's wearing black coat, black pants, black glasses, kind of slicked black hair. And he looks down at me, and he says, "My name is Alex. How are you?" And I don't really want to talk to Alex right now. So I kind of just give him a quick version of the sob story I just told you. So I say, Alex, I just had kind of a rough night. My luck's really bad tonight. I just lost pretty much all of my money on one bad roulette spin, and I don't know if I'm going to make it to Alice Springs, which is where I need to go. And he's nodding, and he says, "I think your luck is about to change." And I'm like, I don't feel like my luck's changing at all, Alex. I don't tell him that. I wait, and he says, "I happen to be going to Alice Springs tonight, and I'm looking for a passenger." So right now, like every conversation I've had with parents, teachers, siblings is spooling through my head, along with like this horror movie montage of desert torture scenes and bodies in trunks of cars. But at the same time, I am completely broke. This has never happened to me before. I'm in my early 20s. I really don't know how I'm gonna get any more money. I don't know how I'm gonna get to my plane. So I say, "Let's go." So we go out. I'm expecting him to drive some kind of like fashionable sports car, maybe a limousine. It's like this really little beat up blue car that kind of looks like a Geo Metro. I'm not sure exactly what it was. And we get in the car. The first thing he says to me is, "I should have told you my stereo doesn't work. So we're going to have to talk to keep each other awake." So we start driving, and Australia is amazing. I mean, this huge drive, you drive 5 kilometers out of Adelaide, and it just recedes behind you. It's gone. And it's just stark red, nothing. No lights, nothing. Warning signs kind of flashing by on the side of the road, the occasional upturned car, red sand. And Alex looks at me and says, "Tell me a story." And like, what do you do when someone says, "Tell me a story"? I mean, the machinery locks up. Like, I don't have a story like right now to tell this creepy guy who's driving me 1,600 Ks. So I'm like, so the first thing that comes to mind is this article I just read. So I say, well, I don't have a story for you, Alex, but I was just reading this article on all the ways you can die driving through the outback. So I'm like really interested in this because I was just read it. I was really excited. And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. Like you're driving at night and there's these giant redback kangaroos, man. They're like 7-8 feet tall, huge. And they get in the road more than deer. And they'll just like jump out in front of your car, no warning. You just see a flash of their eyes and then boom, they're going through your windshield and they go feet first and they just kick you to death, just over and over and over. And Alex is kind of nodding. He's not saying anything, so I'm not going to keep going. So I'm like, yeah. And then there's these road trains, or like these regular cabs, but they're dragging like 5-6 trailers behind them, and they spit up these rocks, they're like the size of boulders, and they just boom, come through the windshield and cave your skull in. And then there's these opal mine shafts, and if you steer off the road, and he says, "Jeff, you're kind of freaking me out." And so now I feel like relaxed, like maybe Alex isn't going to kill me, and I'm wondering what he's thinking about me. And so then I do tell him a story. I feel bad, so I kind of backpedal, and I start telling him about my childhood in the Midwest in a small town. And then he starts telling me about how he grew up in Bavaria and is hiking and throughout Germany, and how he has 2 kids, and he's wanted to see Australia his whole life. And it's just hours are just going by. It's dark. There's still overturned cars. It's still really creepy. But we're getting along, and at one point he looks at me, and this is like late in the night. His German accent's coming back really thick. It's late. And he says, "Jeff, I think we can be friends." And he's like looking at me from behind these glasses, and I'm like, I can't believe I was scared of this puppy dog ever. And it's like a lullaby. It just like makes me swoon. And so I just kind of put my head against the window, and it's like, out cold. I wake up, boom. I'm like, what's going on? Ew. Opal mines, kangaroos, I wake up. And it's the car. The sun has come up. We're still in the car. The car's like bumping. It's wobbling. It's bad. And I say, "Alex, has your car ever done this before?" "No, it's never done this before." And he's driving, and he's trying to stay on the road. And so I'm like, well, where are we? So I was the worst passenger. I fell asleep for hours, and sun was up, and we were 100 kilometers from this goal, from this rock, from this beautiful summit, this amazing story, 100 Ks away. And we come by this town. It's not a town. There's a sign for it that says Curtin Springs. And what Curtin Springs is, aside from being 100 kilometers outside of Uluru, of Ayers Rock, is it's like this weird shanty town. There's this weird roadhouse motel, and there's a mechanic kind of garage shop, and then inexplicably there's all these camels in a pen. And so we pull over, we kind of chug over, we park there, and we get out, and we find out there's one mechanic, right? And he's this guy kind of sitting on a couple milk crates, red bandana, chewing, spits into the sand. And we walk up to this guy and we say, "Hey, sir, it's nice to meet you." Name's Toby. "Nice to meet you, Toby. We're wondering if you could fix our car. We really need to go. I have a flight." I start telling him my whole story. He cuts us off. "I'll get to it when I get to it." And when he says that, I look over Toby the mechanic's head, and I see past the garage to a graveyard of cars. like 100 cars, hoses pulled out, engines laying around, tires deflated. It's like a serial killer's garden of automobiles. It's horrible. And I'm losing hope. I'm like, I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to make it. I came this close. I'm not going to make it. I lost the bet. I've lost this bet. And then a car pulls up behind me. And I turn. And this woman steps out of the car. And I had been shot down in Australia by so many women, but she was gorgeous. She's, dark hair. She's wearing this white dress that makes no sense in this blowing red hellhole that we're stuck in. And she walks up, and her car's having trouble too. And she walks up to Toby, who, by the way, springs up like a gentleman when she comes by, shakes her hand, kind of talks to her, takes her keys. And we start miraculously talking. Are you having car trouble? Yeah, we're having car trouble. I'm having car trouble too. And we start talking, and then we have this amazing day together. We hang out. We spread out a blanket. We have a picnic. We drink some wine. Alex springs for some beers. Then Alex gets really kind of giddy because he's kind of buzzed. And then Alex springs for a camel ride with the camels. So we're hanging out with the camels, and I'm talking to this girl, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is my epic thing. This girl and I, we're meant for each other. There's this connection, and we're talking, we're joking with each other. It's just amazing. And we get done with the camel ride, and her car is fixed. So I'm talking to her about what she's doing. Alex is over at the mechanic talking to Toby, not looking very happy. I'm talking to her, and she says, hey, I know that you've got big plans, and your flight's leaving in just, a day. So, if you want to, I can give you a ride to the Rock. And I look over at Alex, and he's staring right at me from behind his black glasses, those puppy dog eyes. And all I can think of is, I think we can be friends. And so I say, no, I'm good. I'll just stay here with Alex. That's okay. So I don't go. So she leaves. And I stay with Alex, and it's a good thing I did. He was really sad. He was really depressed about his car. So we stayed there, but we had to stay overnight. And it was cold. We had no sleeping bags. We had no tents. We had to huddle by this awful little fire that went out, and we had to kind of cuddle. Not really cuddle, but kind of cuddle. And then, and again, I'm thinking this is over. But the next day, the car is fixed. And it's a beautiful day, and I have a whole day left, and I can still be epic. I can still be legendary. We can still make this work. So I get in the car, and we drive, and the windows are down, and there's no music, but we're talking, and we're laughing, and the wind is coming through, and we get there, and oh my gosh, nothing could prepare me. I mean, this rock, it's spectacular. It's amazing. It's just this monolith just erupting from the red desert, and I'm thinking, I finally made it. I'm finally going to get my story. So I say, see you later, Alex. I'll catch you on the other side. So I jump out, and I hustle up, and there's this group preparing to climb, and then I see this giant brown sign in front of the rock. And it says, while you are permitted to climb the rock, it is seen as disrespectful to Aboriginal culture to do so. So please think twice before embarking on the climb. And I'm like, no! No! Why do I have to be nice again? I was already nice once. Do I have to not do this? This is the one thing that I wanted to do. But then I'm looking at this rock, and I'm watching the people climb, and I'm watching them go up in this steady procession, person after person after person after person after person, getting their picture, getting their story, getting their legendary tale of summiting this thing. And in the course of doing that, the human traffic of that had worn a white scar in the side of the rock. And so I kind of sat there, I stood up, I paced around, and just then, the girl from Curtin Springs walks up and says, hey, you made it. And I say, hey, you're here. She said, are you going to climb? And I said, I don't think I am. I think it's disrespectful to the culture. And she says, wow. I'm going to go climb that rock, so I guess I'll see you later. And she's gone. Never to be seen again. So for me, watching her go, watching everyone else process, I had to sit there and watch that and think, what I had learned is it's not about what you do in the country or on the trip. It's about what it does to you. And in my Australian road trip story, I didn't make the bet, I didn't get the girl, I didn't get the summit, but I got the story.